Planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to evacuate is to leave with us.
Join us as we delve deep into the minds of the most manipulative beings on this planet, as today we are going to talk about the 10 most dangerous cults around the world. In this video, we will be covering both the leaders and the followers of these cruel and terrifying groupings. And as we study their behavior, we want you to join us and see for yourself how dangerous charisma can really be. So here we have our number 10 pick of the day, the Rajneesh Movement. This cult was actually started back in the 80s by a man named Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. And although it all began in India, it actually only really started catching up in America, dragging in more and more followers to his cause. Eventually, his numbers peaked when the belief reached Fremantle, Australia, as he actually managed to get a woman by the name of Ma Anand Sheila on her side as his personal secretary. The two led their massive cult through several criminal activities, including election rigging, bioterrorism, and yes, attempted murder too. Eventually, Ma Anand Sheila went to prison for 20 years in California, where she was ordered to pay up to $470,000. She was only allowed to walk out on parole 4 years later. This cult was especially known for the sexual nature that they preached, as they gave cheaters an excuse to indulge in their fantasies, and in doing so, the two could manipulate anyone and everyone with ease. Their biggest attack on humanity came about as they poisoned all of the salad bars around the area with salmonella, which led to over 750 people falling ill and over 45 going to the hospital. Number 9. The Church of Euthanasia. This cult dates back to the 90s, when a man by the name of Chris Corda decided to start up his own little gathering of followers known as the Church of Euthanasia. Although it started off as just a prank cult, essentially making fun of how cults were designed and how fundamentally flawed they were, they quickly managed to attract a lot of followers to their scheme, and before long, they had a decently sized group of followers that were ready to follow their every command. They basically preached that the population on Earth is increasing too fast, and that before long we'd all starve to death because there wouldn't be any more resources to sustain us all. Their solution? Just kill yourself. What started off just as a practical joke turned sour when they infiltrated a suicide hotline, essentially telling depressed people to kill themselves. Number 8. The Manson Family. Even if you don't know anything about cults, you most likely already know about the notorious Manson Family cult. This group was organized by none other than Charles Manson himself, as he was planning to start a race war between black and white people, which would result in, what he would say, the superior race winning and terminating the inferior one. He is known for having orchestrated the murder of famous actress Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski. The worst part about it is the fact that he actually tried to make it seem as though it was black people that took her down. Truly despicable to say the least. They were also extremely gory and demented when it came to the way they murdered their victims, as they opted to stab the people that they were hunting, with some even having been stabbed more than 50 times each. At least 9 people were confirmed dead after the Manson family began their attacks. Number 7. The Unification Church. The leader of the Unification Church is none other than Sun Myung Moon, a demented pastor that took it upon himself to change the world for the worst. His religion was simple: just follow him in everything that he does, or be punished for all eternity. He taught his followers that he was the Messiah that brought down the word of God himself. He was chosen by God to follow in Jesus' footsteps, and not following him would be akin to spitting in the face of God. He raised the ideal family according to his own scriptures, and everyone was supposed to strive to do the same as he did too. The saddest part about this case is that there were so many followers in this cult that not doing what they were preaching was enough to destroy your career for good, with the members of the group literally making sure that you never escape the humiliation of not being part of their cult throughout your life. Many people went homeless as a result, and quite a few people disappeared out of thin air, never to be seen again, because they objected to this belief system. Number 6. The Branch Davidians Cult. This whole belief system stemmed from a man known as Victor Hotef. He was a Bulgarian immigrant that believed that Jesus would return eventually, and that in order to be welcomed into heaven, the followers would have to abandon all forms of commercial entertainment, literally living away from technology in their very own ecosystem. This was all fine and good until he eventually passed away in 1955 and was replaced by his wife, Florence. Not everyone was okay with this though, as David Koresh took over a major faction of what used to be the Victor's cult, and he decided to force people to join his cult or else they'd suffer eternal damnation. He forced teenage girls to become his wives and eventually was taken down for child abuse. In order to retaliate this decision, the Branch Davidians went on a killing spree, killing as many people as they could find. Number 5. The Elm Shenrico Cult. This cult was kickstarted by a man named Shoko Asahara that believed that the doomsday was coming and that the only way to live through it was to follow his lead. They are known for their planned attack on the Tokyo subway from 1995, where more than 13 people were killed and hundreds were maimed and crippled for life. In a later attempt to cause havoc and destruction, he almost managed to kill 100,000 people with cyanide. Luckily, his plans failed. Number 4. The Heaven's Gate Cult. 39 people ended up taking their own lives because of the beliefs of a man known as Marshall Applewhite. He told his followers that an extraterrestrial spaceship was coming for them, and that the only way to be allowed into heaven was to take their own lives so that they could be taken to a higher level of existence. 4 members lived through this nightmare to continue spreading their word to the people, and they still continue doing so to this day. Number 3. The Order of the Solar Temple. This clan actually started off by taking the life of a 3-month-old baby that they thought was the Antichrist by stabbing him multiple times with a wooden stake. Having loved the feeling of doing justice in the name of God, they actually ended up going on to kill even more people they deemed to be evil, taking the lives of over 74 people in total. Nobody knows whether the sect is still alive to this day, but if they are, then they most likely are still convinced that they're doing the right thing, as they have been for so many years now. Number 2. The Dignity Colony. This cult was started by a Nazi soldier known as Paul Schaefer. After World War II, he fled to South America with a bunch of other soldiers that were ready to kill for him at any time. He had around 70 people with him, following his every word. He formed a new town known as the Cologna Dignidad, in which he ruled as a dictator. He took the lives of hundreds of people there, and he tortured thousands of enemies that he considered to be dangerous to his ideology. Number 1. The People's Temple. Jim Jones was a spiritual leader that later on became the founder of the People's Temple, the most violent cult in the world. He had hundreds, if not thousands, of followers in the US, and he moved on to a remote settlement in Guyana where he and his followers could live away from the society's norms. Once inside, nobody was allowed to leave, and as one last act before his plans could be foiled, he forced everyone there to commit suicide. More than 914 people died that day after drinking cyanide-poisoned drinks. Jim Jones ended up shooting himself at the end of it all. Truly, only the most heinous people could create such horrible groups. Which of these do you think was the scariest? Be sure to let us know in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to click on the recommended videos on the left and right side of the screen for more awesome content from us. See ya!